Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's video there's a man walking out of an abandoned house. I thought it'd be like Jamie Clarkson there. But in front of us we have the Jawa, or as it's supposed to be pronounced, Jawa, because it's from the Czech Republic, Retro 350 two-stroke modern classic, and they still make this motorcycle today. It's technically 1970s technology, but you can still buy it new. So let's get into what this bike is like and tell you a little bit of information about what this actually is.
Now, I'm going to call it a Jawa for the sake of pronunciation, but apologies to the Czech Republic viewers. But we've been riding around on this Jawa all morning, and the aerial Huntsman over there, a 1959 classic motorcycle, and jumping between the two. But it's quite funny, before we get into the video about this bike, we just stopped off for some lunch at this fish and chip place. Oh, it was all really nice, and we had it all. We walked out, rode off, we got to here to film the thing, we suddenly realised we haven't paid them. So we're going to phone them up or go down there later because they've just closed. They'll be opening later. So apologies for that when you watch the video back. We're just trying to find somewhere to eat, and there's supposed to be this little mobile cafe which we went to. That wasn't there, was it? Then Darcy looked up on his phone for a pub. We found the pub, and that was closed. Then we went to another one. Well, that was closed down. We found ourselves here in this little fish and chip shop. It's up so nice. It's in a town called Whiz Beach or Whiz Betch, and is it Cambridgeshire? Yeah, it's Cambridgeshire. On the Fens. Very nice place. Very friendly. What are they called? I think they need a plug because they're very good.
Yeah.
The Jolly Friar. I'm reading backwards through the window. On these bikes, people do stop and talk to you about them a lot. So if you're going to get a bike like this, be prepared for that. Now, if you're looking for a modern classic motorcycle, I don't think anything comes more classic out of the modern classics, really, than this. Perhaps the W800 from Kawasaki, but not as much as this. This is basically, like you said, it's a bike, 70s design, technology and everything. It's a two-stroke as well.
Two-stroke,
Two-cylinder two-stroke.
Remarkable. It's something that wouldn't really meet the current regulations if it was mass-produced for this market. But these are really small in the UK, in the sense that down the road, F2 Motorcycles, which is where we've borrowed these two bikes for today, so big thank you to him for letting us ride this bike. He is the UK distributor or agent for Jawa motorcycles, and he told us some interesting information, because basically you order these, if you want to buy one, you order it and he orders it from the factory. This one is £5,995, brand new in the UK, but this actually particular model is a 2013 model, and he said the only difference is the pump. So now you have to put the two-stroke oil in with the petrol, and this is separate.
Yeah,
so
this one, it's a tank under the seat, isn't it?
Yeah, and the reason being is that they just no longer produce that pump anymore because no one's making two-stroke motorcycles, so they've changed it slightly. But other than that, it's not changed at all. No. So it really is an old-school design which you can buy brand new, and it's not particularly expensive, but it's obviously going to appeal to someone who wants a classic bike but wants a brand new one. It's like buying a new old stock almost, isn't it?
It is, exactly that.
But interestingly enough, now we've recently gained loads of followers on Instagram from India, because a couple of Royal Enfield videos have absolutely blown up and got millions of views, and a lot of Indians have been commented to ride a Jawa. And it's interesting what the chap from F2 Motorcycles said, because these aren't Indian. This particular one is still made in the Czech Republic. So Mahindra Group, who now people believe own Jawa motorcycles, they don't actually own Jawa motorcycles. They own the rights to use the name on a couple of models which are made in India. So you've got the Bobber 42, the Parek, I think it's called, and there's, I think, another model, I can't quite remember the name off the top of my head, which are Indian produced Mahindra motorcycles with the Jawa badge, but this is still one of the ones from the Czech Republic. So that was a bit confusing, but very interesting though, because I've not heard that from anywhere before.
But you still can buy those models. You can order them through this website, which we'll leave the website in the description below, so you can find
Yeah,
it.
you can still order them, but it comes from a separate factory.
Yeah. Great bike, isn't it?
Oh, it's lovely. I love that sound.
Lovely new helmet, by the way.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, I love this helmet. I say this is the nicest helmet I've ever had. This is a Stormer helmet. Oh, I've got that up. Yeah, I got it from XL Moto. Beautiful. That is the nicest helmet I've ever had. So beautiful, and it's a lovely cream colour, which is exactly what I wanted actually. And on the website when I bought it, it didn't look like this. It looked kind of gold and a bit browny, but when I took it out of the box, I was like, bloody hell, that is absolutely gorgeous. There's lovely brown interior as well. Stunning and very inexpensive. So best thing I've ever had. Well, best helmet I've ever had.
Goes really well with a classic bike, doesn't it? I think.
So we've been riding so many different modern classics and now hopefully more classic bikes. I wanted a retro helmet to go with it, and this is absolutely brilliant. So if you want something like that, check the link in the description.
I'm gonna get one as well, actually. Now, obviously, this being a two-stroke, the first thing you probably want to know is what it's like to ride. Now, if you don't know what two-stroke, four-stroke means, most motorcycles and cars these days are four-stroke, which means on every 4 strokes of the piston, one of them is a spark plug ignition, so that's the power stroke. On a two-stroke, every time the cylinder goes down, that's 1 stroke, and up is 2 strokes. Every time it goes down, there's an explosion, so that does give you more power and torque, although the power band is less, so it's not all the way through like a 4-stroke. But this engine is great actually. Now compare it to a Royal Enfield Classic 350, let's say. This does feel a lot faster. It definitely has more acceleration, and once you build the revs up, then it does go. It's quite nice actually. So it's actually a hoot to ride, very interesting, makes a nice engine sound, and you don't have cats and all that sort of stuff in the exhaust pipe. So it does sound good. And when I was following it on the other bike, it smells nice too, got a lovely 2-stroke smell. So if you choose the right oil, you know, it gets a lovely smell as well. So it's got a lot of character, this engine, and not only that, it looks quite nice. You've got the air-cooled fins, there's no water cooling and no pipe work and no ugly gubbins, so it actually looks quite pretty too. It's very basic, don't get me wrong, but it's also got a carburettor, I'm just looking, so it really is very, very basic, but very enjoyable.
This bike has a side stand and a centre stand, and the centre stand's a really nice cast sort of metal part. It looks really nice. Oh, and by the way, if you like these kinds of bikes, classic bikes, new bikes, any bikes, then make sure you subscribe, because we've got loads of different bikes coming up on the channel. Classic stuff, modern classics, retros, even some modern bikes. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it, and hit the bell icon so you're notified about every video that comes out. As the old man was saying, it's a very basic motorcycle. It's really back to the basics, back to the old school. Compared to the really old bikes from the 1950s and 60s, it's a little bit more sophisticated, but something like a Royal Enfield is definitely more refined and polished. Those bikes feel like modern bikes. They don't feel like a classic bike, but they still have a good amount of character, but this is a completely different thing. And being 2-stroke, you get that lovely 2-stroke sound. I love the sound of 2-strokes, you know, the tings and the that sound a bit more like a motocross bike, but it's a lovely sound. I've been practicing that since I was about 3. But this exhaust is a really nice looking exhaust, and I love the smell of 2-stroke. It always takes me back, because when I was a young boy, even 1 year old, the old man used to do motocross, and I used to love going to the motocross track, which was Ellsworth, sort of near, not far from Cambridge. amazing track, and the smell of two-stroke and watching the dirt bikes go by, that's probably the start of my passion for motorcycles.
Okay, so let's go over the bike from front to back. You've got a lovely proper mudguard that works, looks good. We keep saying it, but modern bikes need to have it. Disc brakes, the brakes are quite semi-ferocious, I'd say. They're quite sharp, so it stops pretty well. This one's got these engine guards on. I wouldn't have that on, I think it spoils the look. And I say you've got these lovely fins here from the engine, no water cooling or anything. So it's a good looking engine. A cradle, double cradle chassis, which I love to see. Lovely looking tank, nice and narrow, very pretty. As Darcy said, nice exhaust pipes. You've got an unusual enclosed chain here. I've not seen that before. I like that. And that stops all that muck getting all over your wheel from the spraying the chain. Other than that, lovely bench seat. It's a basic bike. You can have a passenger on the back, got foot pegs, etc. Gears are on the left. I think it's got 4 gears. Is it 4 or 5? Darcy's nodding. 4 gears. Brake, obviously, where they normally are. And very basic controls. It's got a digital screen, which is very basic. Apparently, you can get a proper analog one on this. So if I was ordering one, I'd want it with that, personally. Everywhere else, I believe in Czech Republic, they do come with that. But for getting through the regs here, they have to have miles per hour. It was easier to put that on. Nice, normal, old-fashioned headlights. So it's a good looking bike in a very basic way, and overall I do like the look of it. So you definitely want to consider this if you're looking for a modern classic and you're thinking of something like a 350 Royal Enfield or a Bullet, something like that. I would certainly put this on your list.
As we keep saying, it is really back to basics. I mean, the brakes, the front brake is quite good. The disc brake is, apparently people were complaining about the brakes, so they decided, the chap from FT Motorcycles said they just got whatever the biggest disc they could find and slapped it on, so people would stop complaining about it. But it does work very well. The back brake, you've got a drum brake, which is fine. It's not amazing, but it does the job. The suspension's really soft, so it's actually quite nice on these fens because, as I've said before on a video when I was on the fens, the roads are atrocious because the land used to be marshland and it's very soft. So the road kind of eventually sinks into the ground. So all over the place it's like that. So it's quite dangerous actually, but on a bike like this, it soaks it up nicely. If I was on a normal modern bike with firm suspension, I think I would probably fly off of the bike. So this is actually brilliant if you live somewhere really bumpy. Compared to a Royal Enfield, it really does feel like you're going back in time. It does feel like a bike from the late 70s or 80s. I don't feel like I'm riding a new motorcycle, which is strange because you can buy it new. But if you want something a bit more sophisticated and modern, but with the classic looks, a Royal Enfield is definitely the way to go. But if you want something that feels more classic and is unusual, something you're not going to see when you turn up at a bike meet, you will probably be the only one on one of these, and people will stop and go, what's that? I've never heard of that. It'll stand out, and it's two-stroke. That is cool. So if you want something that does that, this is the bike to look at. The handling is what you would expect. It's not a sports bike, but it goes around these nice twisty narrow lanes perfectly well, so it's what you'd expect from this bike. The gearbox is quite agricultural, so it really does clunk into gear, and if you're downshifting, you've got to be careful because if you downshift into first gear, it doesn't like it, it will go so certainly be careful if you're downshifting.
Now, if you're wondering what you might look like on the bike, then look at me. I'm 6'2", and that is the riding position. Plenty of room for the arms, which is really nice, and the feet, the pegs are a little bit forward, which is great actually, because I don't like bikes where your feet are like that. And that was one of the things that Darcy mentioned about the Kawasaki W800, is that the pegs were a little far back, which is a real shame because I love that bike. But the great thing about this, you've got the bench seat, so if you want to move back a little bit, forward a little bit, an inch back, you can move where you like. Whereas one of these bikes with the seat that's scooped, once you reach the back of the seat, that's it. And if you're tall, that's a problem because you can't really sit any further back. So with one of these, if you're a bit taller, you'll be fine. But it's not a very tall bike, and it's quite compact. So if you're normal height, not like a big 8 like myself, then you'll be fine as well. Darcy, what do you look like on the bike?
I'm 6'1", and this is what I look like on the bike. It is nice and comfy, and it's nice and roomy. The seat's really nice and padded, so it's actually a really comfortable bike, and it's ever so light. It only weighs 149 kilos, so it's really light.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, all it is.
Wow.
It's super light.
That's the great thing about a two-stroke, isn't there? There's not much of it.
No,
so
that's true.
You save
It's
a lot
very
of
basic.
weight just at the engine.
Exactly. Yeah, and the power is 23 horsepower, 5,250 RPM, and 32 newton meters of torque at 4,750 RPM. So not too bad. It's probably a little bit more than the classic 350
Yeah,
Royal Enfield,
A bit more torquey,
and it's lighter. So
yeah, it does feel faster.
it does
doesn't
feel faster,
Definitely.
but the gearing's very different.
Yeah.
This is a much more old style of gearbox. I mean, 4-speed, so that makes a big difference. But it does pick up a little bit more than that classic 350, definitely.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be disappointed if you want a bike like this. If you want something modern and refined and smooth, you probably wouldn't like it, would you?
No, you wouldn't.
But I think if you're interested in modern classics or classic bikes, I mean, even if you wanted to get a real classic like that Ariel over there, which we'll do another video on in a minute, which you'll see another time, I think you would like this because it is like a classic bike, but it's new.
Yeah.
So it really is good.
Yeah, definitely. Have we got anything else to say about it? I think we've covered it all.
I think so. I mean, for the price, would you buy one?
I don't think I would buy one personally. I think I would probably go for £6,000. I could almost get a Moto Guzzi. So I'd probably get a Moto Guzzi. So that's what I think I want anyway. But what do you think? Would you get one?
I think if I was on the market for this size, this capacity of bike, I would definitely put it between this and the classic or the Bullet 350 from Royal Enfield, because it's so different, and it's really nice, in my opinion, just to have something that stands out a little bit. So when you turn up, you're the odd one out in a good way.
Yeah.
Of course, we've evolved to bigger bikes, so
Yeah.
for us, we probably would have. We've got big bikes, haven't we?
Yeah.
But putting myself in the shoes of a person who would be looking at a smaller bike, then yeah, I would put this between the two.
Okay. It is quite a bit more than a classic 350, isn't it? About £2,000.
Yeah. So that does show you how
So that is a lot, but
well priced they are, isn't it? But
yeah. The Royal Enfields are very cheap, but they mass produce them, and they're built in India, whereas this is built in Czech Republic, which we didn't know. We thought they were built in India.
Yeah.
It's just those 3 other models that are Indian. So
But you do get a bit more character with the carburettor and a two-stroke.
yeah,
and
you do.
all that. So yeah, if you want character, I think this probably trumps the Royal Enfield, doesn't it?
Probably slightly, yeah. Yeah,
But
in
we
a
love
different
the
way.
Enfield too.
We do, yeah.
Oh yeah, horses for courses, isn't
That's
it?
it. But yeah, if you've liked the video, leave a like, leave a comments down below what you think of this Jawa or Java, and we'll see you in the next video. I don't know whether this will come out first or probably.
Well, we're going to film it right now, aren't we?
Yeah, so
when you see it, it will be a different time possibly.
yes,
But
different day.
yeah,
But,
okay.
goodbye.
Good.